Hello, and I'm back. So hopefully we've fixed the sound problems and you can all hear me again. So I'm not sure if this is going to come as 2 videos or 1 video when I come back to the actual chat. Don't know. So I've now got to try and find the chat page again. So let's go to live control room. That's where I can see everyone's comments. So hopefully if you lost me, it was a sound problem. I had to basically hang up the call and find how to come on again. So I'm just trying to find the window where I can see you all, and hopefully you can all hear me. Right, I will find it somewhere. Okay, let's hope I can see you all. Okay, let's hope this works. Okay, I can't seem to find you all, so I'm going to keep looking. Please keep on asking me your questions. Ah, there we go. Okay, I can see Mac. He says, okay, you're back. Beck says, hi. Banzai Girl says, there you are. Steve Keaton says, I can hear you. So glad I got it sorted. Gosh, we missed a lot of what you were saying. I don't know where it cut off, so I don't know where it was where you couldn't hear me. And I've lost the questions that I was talking about as well. So I don't know what I was saying. What was I saying? What was I talking about the last time that you heard me? Let me know. That will remind me. So yes, I think you are all here. And I'm glad I'm sorted. I basically had to hang up the call, but I thought I had to make a new call, but it turns out I didn't. I could just rejoin the old one, I think. Okay, so 19 watching. Jason says, I think you were answering Matt's question. I can't see Matt's question. So if you can re-ask me your question, then I'll do it again. I'll take it from the top. Beck says, there's a buzzing when you move. Sounds like a loose cable. I'm not sure what that is. It could be the light behind me. Or it could be the computer itself. It might be the computer. It's probably just the computer. There you go. Okay. I think it is the computer making the buzzing noise. It's probably the fan in the computer to making a cool down noise, because the light behind the computer is quite hot. Okay, Matt says it cut off my question. Steve says someone had asked about the chain on your jacket. It's something I made myself. It's actually one of my silver necklaces that I've turned into a kind of brooch thing with 2 of my pin badges, an E and a P. Nicole says, yeah, you're back. Jason can hear the buzzing too. Hello, Iris. I saw your pictures from Sarah. They're amazing. Matt says, so the question was, what's the most crazy thing the Queen has done in public? Yes, the state visit was one where she made the comment that was picked up on camera, and it caused a little bit of a furore. And then there was when she made a comment about the Scottish referendum. That was quite another big, so kind of crazy thing. But the Queen doesn't normally put a foot wrong. She's usually very, very reserved. She's good at being non-political. So actually, I think rather than the very few moments that she has sort of put a little tiny foot out of line, I think we should be celebrating her for 65 years of near perfection when it comes to being very diplomatic. I think she's steered herself very, very well. Van Argo said, I think you're talking about online greeting cards. Yes, I was saying basically go onto an online company and follow their instructions. It's really easy. And if you're in a different country, try Moonpig. It's a British company, and then they'll probably just send out the card from the UK. So there won't be any long transit times. It'll probably just come out of the printers in the UK and go straight to the Queen. So try that. Princess Beard says, I love your look. Thank you very much. I was trying to be creative. It's a chain. Freya says, we have a new Alexander McQueen over here. I love the chain on the jacket. I am actually going to have, I'm planning an image overhaul. I'm going to change my hair and I'm going to change my clothes. I want almost a complete new wardrobe, and I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but when you see it, I will make a video, and I'm actually going to do a video on how to dress like a duke, and I'm going to base it on the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip. He has amazing style, and I'm going to be buying a lot of British, and I'm going to be dressing very differently, so watch this space. There will be a makeover. Steve says, how close do you think the movie The Queen was to the truth? I think it was fairly accurate for what we know. Obviously, we don't know what people say in private. So the private conversations of what the Queen was doing in the movie was written. We don't know that happened. However, the scenes that were acted that we did see, where they were reenacting scenes that had already been well, real life scenes basically, that was incredibly accurate, and Helen Mirren did an amazing job portraying the Queen. Nori Lynch says, are you from the northwest of England? I'm from the West Midlands in Shropshire, which is kind of near the Welsh border, if you know England. Max says, oh, I was going to ask about your interest in history. I think I was talking about history. I think I said I was going to try and make some Tudor videos. So I would love to do, I'd like to love to do some teaching about the Tudor period and sort of move on from there. So I'm trying to purchase a big whiteboard easel, and I can make some videos where I try and teach a little bit about British history. Beck says, I can't wait to see the results of the makeover. I've still got to buy all the things, but I basically want to just wipe the wardrobe clean and start again. I very much want a complete fashion overhaul. And it will be very British and royal based. So completely look out for it. It will be coming within a couple of months, definitely. Matt says, wow, how's dressed like the Duke? I need to see that. You will do. I will be making that video soon. I might even make it tomorrow. Van Al says, please don't shave the beard. No, I'm keeping it. In fact, I'd love a George V. I'm trying to go for a George V, but with a full beard. What do you think? I'm getting there. It's kind of pointy, a little bit like George V. I'm trying. Matt says, I've commented a few times on where the Duke gets his clothes. I will show you. I will show you where he gets his clothes. And basically, he's kept with the same clothes retailers for 50 years. So, and it also, he buys some pieces and has them custom made as well, but I will explain all that in the video. Freya says, if the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge had another baby and they asked you to name it, what name would you pick for the new prince or princess? That would be a great honour. I definitely think a royal traditional name. I did hope that Charlotte would have been Diana at the time. However, you know, if they had another girl, they could possibly go for Diana. I think if I was choosing, I think Elizabeth would be too obvious. I think Victoria. I think Princess Victoria. Victoria, Diana, Elizabeth. Victoria, Diana, Elizabeth. There you go. If it was a prince, I would probably go for, let me see. I'd like a name that hadn't been used for a long time. Probably James. I think, although then again there is James Viscount 7. I do like James. Maybe a different one that's not been used. What about Michael? We have a Prince Michael of Kent, and Michael is Catherine's father's name, Michael Middleton. So in honour of her father, perhaps a Prince Michael. Prince Michael of Cambridge. There you go. Max says, can't wait to see that video. Rex says, great question. It was a great question. I really had to think about all the different names. Or maybe Alfred. Maybe Alfred. Prince Alf. I don't know. That would be a big responsibility to choose a royal name. Max says, yes, now I remember I asked why you were interested in Elizabeth I. Noreen says, who is your favourite member of the British royal family? Prince Harry at the moment. Princess Beatrice says, I showed my family the York cards. They didn't share the same. It's like, I loved them. I thought they were amazing. And they were personalised and handwritten. So I'm going to definitely try to write to Sarah and Eugenie and Beatrice. 100%. Max says, when someone tweets something, can you retweet them so the rest of us can see it? Yes, I can. I can start doing that. Beck says, great idea, Mac. We can't see each other's tweets. Max says, Elliot, you should do live quizzes, like Kahoot for the viewers. Oh, I'd have to learn how to do it. I don't know how to do that. So I'd have to learn how to do it. Vanal says, yes, Princess Victoria would be perfect. Max says Prince Edward. And Michael says, I highly endorse Michael. Of course you would. Oh, Vanal, Albert, of course, Albert. Or Philip. Actually, Philip would be a good one. There's so many names. They could, I don't know. What about Philip Michael Albert? Or something of that nature. But yes, you're right, Albert is too German. Louis. What about Louis? Louis. Freya says, I would pick Arthur for a boy. Arthur. There's so many good names that they could go for. A highly underused name in the royal family. Noreen says, I thought Princess Charlotte was going to be called Princess. Again, Alice is another really good girl's name. There's so many. They're going to have to keep on having children so that we can keep using up all the names. Louis, way too French. There are just so many. Letter says, are there any royal statues in my town? Not that I'm aware of statue-wise, but we do have the Princess Royal, Princess Anne, opened our local hospital. And we have a big portrait of Princess Anne in the hospital. So we have a big royal portrait. So not a statue as such, but we do have a portrait. And Matt says, Arthur, yes, that's one. Okay, so do we all think Arthur? I like Arthur too. I think Arthur's a good one. Okay. Yes, I do like Arthur. I think that's a good one. Noreen says, Louis is Mountbatten's name and one of William's middle names. which is why I thought it could perhaps be a first name, but it is very French sounding. Okay, I'm just going to check to see if I have any other tweets, because this seems quite good that I can look at the tweets while I'm on the live chat as well. Let me see. Oh, I have a few. Aha. I think Meticulous said she was back. She's found the Crown Jewels book, or a book on the Crown Jewels, but that's not the book that I had. The one I had was the Queen's Diamonds. Chelsea's tweeted me as well. And we're up to 51 followers on Twitter. I also have Instagram as well, just for those of you who like to Instagram. Okay, Matt says the only time a royal visited my city, Galway, was Edward VII in 1907. Wow, and Prince Charles in 2025. I was going to say, if no royal had visited since 1907, you are way overdue a royal visit. But Prince Charles in 2013, perhaps you are due again. I think I heard once that the royals like to visit an area. So a member of the royal family visits an area in the UK at least once every 6 years. So I'd say that, Mac, you're becoming due for another royal visit. But people have to invite them. So perhaps people in your town aren't actually inviting him. So invite the royals. Freya says, I like Rose for a princess. I don't think it's ever been used as a first name. Margaret Rose, Princess Margaret was Princess Margaret Rose. So there is a family connection. So Rose could be a contender, I suppose. Noreen says Galway deserves another royal visit. I agree. There can never be enough royal visits. Banal says, Elliot, do you think Her Majesty really had a problem with Catherine attending her sister's wedding? There have been some comments to that effect. Of course she won't. It's family. Of course she won't have a problem with it. I think that's just tabloid speculation, so I would pay it no heed. Noreen says, have you met a member of the royal family? No, sadly I haven't, but I would love to. And actually, the one that I would probably love to meet the most and have a royal chit chat with is Princess Michael of Kent. Of course, I've always said my favourite royal is Harry, but I'd really like to have. I reckon you could have a really good natter with Princess Michael of Kent. I'd love to go to her apartment at Kensington Palace, have a cup of tea, and really have a natter. And I'd love for her to show me her jewellery collection. Matt says, well, it is in Ireland, you have to remember, of course. But they can still request and, start requesting. I think people in Ireland should request more. Invite them. Nicole says, Prince Harry seems to visit Nottingham very often. What's his connection to the town? I think it's the particular charities have bases there. I think it's Full Effect and Coach Corps. So on Twitter there, we are Full Effect and we are Coach Corps. And you use the @ symbol at the front. And I think they have their headquarters or their main bases in Nottingham. And whenever he goes back to pay a revisit, he visits those particular centres. So hopefully that answers that question. Steve says the Queen visited a neighbouring town last year, but it was kept quiet until after the event. No. Perhaps there was a security concern, perhaps. Not sure what, but perhaps that was a reason why. Because usually they do try and get some publicity out there. So I'm imagining there was some kind of security reason for that. Freya says, I grew up in Northern Ireland and our island never gets enough royal visits. It should. All I can say is just invite them. Please do. And just see what happens. Rana says, hi. Hi, Rana. Max says, natter. I would love a natter with Princess Michael of Kent. I think she would be a great natterer. Okay, Saint Sinner says, what do you think about Prince Harry's girlfriend? Do you think they could marry? And will it be a problem that she's American and biracial? Well, let's start with the last bit of your question. I don't think it will matter that she's American. I don't think it will matter that she's biracial. Why would it? In the UK, we are very open, accepting, diverse culture. So I don't think that would be a problem. You know, maybe 60 years ago that would have been a problem, but not now in modern Britain. Do I think they could marry? Yes, I do. I think this is probably the most serious relationship he's ever had. And what do I think about her personally? I think I like her. I like the fact that she's into charity work. And of course, she was into that before she even met Prince Harry. So that just shows that that part of her life is very true and genuine. I think she's very stylish. I think she's beautiful. I think she's intelligent. I think she has a talent. She's, you know, she's an actress that she's carved a career by herself. I think she's independent. She's smart. I think she has a degree, or she's very highly well educated. So if you put all those together, I think she's quite the perfect little bundle. Of course, she has a past, and of course, she has a family that has a past, but many of us do. Many of us are not squeaky clean, and many of our families or relatives aren't squeaky clean. So, but I think in the UK, we can forgive her all those things. Some of the things aren't, we don't even have to forgive her for anyway. I think she'll be perfect, and I like her. Van Argyle says Alexandra is another wonderful name. Yes, Princess Alex, Princess Alexandra. Noreen says, do you think the rumours about David Lord Snowdon? Which rumours? I haven't heard these rumours. Please let me know. Van Argyle says, I once read that Princess Michael is known in the royal family as Princess Pushy, which is why I would love to have a natter with her. I think she'd be so interesting. I think, again, she's a strong, powerful female figure within the family, and I think she'd be so interesting to talk to. I think she's someone who I could get along with, actually. I think she's someone that you could actually make a friend with, and I think if I could get to have a natter with her, I think we'd be friends in no time. Freya says, I like Georgina, or Georgiana. Georgiana is the name. I think it would fit a princess well. Maybe not a daughter of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, given that they have a son named George. That's a very interesting name choice. Beck says, does William and Kate have a Twitter account? No, not personally, but they do have one on their behalf, which is Kensington Palace, and their tag handle is @Kensington Royal. So Kensington Royal is the official Twitter account for the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and Prince Harry, and that follows all their work that they do. Max says, I tweeted you a funny photo. Okay, I'm going to have a look. Noreen says, yes, Kensington Palace has a Twitter account which makes announcements. It's @Kensington Royal. Michael says, any news of Lupo? No. I don't think there's been anything new about him, and he hasn't been in any recent pictures. But maybe he will be soon. Yes, I have 4 notifications. Jamie sent me a picture. Let me have a look. Oh, that's a lovely picture. So, and she's kind of wearing blue sapphires. If I just show you, kind of. That's the picture that I was tweeted by Mac. And it's a very lovely picture of the Queen. And it has her words of her commitment that she made to the nation. And I like this one too. That's quite good too. Hopefully you can see that one. It's about Queen Beatrix retiring, and the Queen basically looking down on her for that. Oh, I love this one. Look, it's a glum-faced Queen saying that when I end my chat, that's what people feel like. I think that's rather cute. Thank you. That's really cute. And a picture of the Queen being shown food and pulling a funny face. They're lovely pictures. Thank you very much. Okay. Beatrice or Iris says, I think whoever marries a prince would be stepping back a few decades, plus those who marry in seem to sacrifice more than their royal spouse. I would agree, kind of, but I think in Meghan's case, I actually think that she became an actress to pull herself up out of a life that she didn't want to be in. So I think she saw that as a route to get out of poverty, really, and get out of a difficult life. So I think she did whatever she had to do to become famous and earn the money. But I think actually her true aspirations lie in the charity work. And she said herself, she finds it really hard to come to do all the charity work and spending lots of time, for example, in Africa, and then going back to the superficial world of the media and of Hollywood in particular. So I think that actually her calling is charity work. Now, of course, if she marries Harry, her job, her role, although undefined, is charity work. So I think she won't give a second thought about giving up the TV career. I think she actually wants to do the charity work and work for the charitable causes. I think that's what her calling is. And actually, marrying Harry gets her out of all the acting because she'll never have to worry about money. Harry has all the money that she'll ever need. She'll get looked after as a member of the British royal family, and she'll get to concentrate on her charity work, which is what I think her real calling is. So I would agree with you normally, Iris, but I think for Meghan, the role would be perfect. What comes with Harry is actually probably what she wants. So I think for her, it's perfect. Freya says, what do I think about Claire Foy's portrayal of the Queen? Did she do her justice? I haven't watched it yet, but I will be. I have it on SD card. Noreen says, do I think the Middletons should be given a title, such as Lord and Lady Bucklebury? I would like to see them being given an earldom. I definitely think an earldom. Perhaps the Earl of Berkshire. I think Bucklebury is in Berkshire, so maybe the Earl of Berkshire or the Earl of Bucklebury might be good. I agree. But I would like to see them have a title, yes, which would then make Pippa Lady, and it would make James, I think Lord. Would he be Lord James? Yes, I think he'd be Lord James. So that would have an impact on the whole family if he was given an earldom. Saint Sinner says, do you do these chats regularly? Yes, every Saturday, live at 10 o'clock UK time, which is 10 p.m. GMT. So you can always find out what time that is for your area. I love you and think you are extremely knowledgeable about the royals. I would tune in every week. I'm an American and people hate that I love the royals. Well, you're more than welcome here every week, live 10 o'clock GMT. Freya says, Monaco had an American princess and it worked out very well for them. I agree. I think it'll work well over here if the relationship continues. Iris says there's been American royalty before. And Max says if she likes all that charity work, becoming a royal is the best thing ever. I agree. I think she will be. Max says Elliot was Elizabeth I a man. There was some interesting theories about this. One was that she had long fingers. And in all the things that source material that's written about her, they say that she has long, slender fingers. And she always wore gloves that accentuated her long fingers, which are, I suppose, more of a manly trait than a female trait. Then there was the fact that she never wanted to take a husband. Now, I don't think that it's perhaps that she was a man, but maybe she had, I don't know. We will never know, but we know that she was examined by a doctor and everything was in working order, or so it was said. So I don't think she was a man, but perhaps there may have been something going on that may have been a little bit different. Some people are born, for example, with both genitalia parts, if we want to be really open about this. Perhaps she was one of those people. And when the physician examined her, maybe she sort of told him to say, everything's fine, and that she can bear children, because of course that was important in the marriage game, of which she played a fantastic hand. So maybe, if anything, it could have been that, but of course we don't know. That is speculation. But we need to go on what the official line is, which was she was fully woman and she was able and capable of bearing children, if that makes sense. Noreen says it shows how times have changed. Wallis Simpson was unacceptable as an American divorcee, but Meghan is acceptable. I think she's lovely, and as long as they're happy, that's all that matters. I agree. We aren't living in the past. You know, this isn't the 1930s. We've moved on. Society's moved on. Max says the Earl of Shropshire. If I was a duke, I would choose to have a new title created, and I would be the Duke of Shropshire. That would be my preferred title if I was to ever have one. Saint Sinner says, also, do you think the Queen likes The Crown? We will never know. We don't even know if she watches it. They were very kind when portraying the Queen's parents. Perhaps she'd be interested in seeing it. Perhaps in private she has, but there has been no official comment on if she has seen it. Max says, I never knew there were dukes and earls for places in Ireland. However, they no longer have connections to their Irish towns. I know William is Baron Carrickfergus as one of his subsidiary titles, but yes, that there were earls and dukedoms as well. Noreen says, do you believe the rumour that Elizabeth I was switched as a child because she died? No, not really. I don't believe that, because there was a theory that Anne Boleyn could bear one child, and then she had some kind of medical condition that meant that any other pregnancy she had ended in miscarriage. So I think Elizabeth was genuinely Anne Boleyn's child, but I think the reason why she couldn't have any other children was because she had a medical condition, and it does have a name. I forget the name, but I think she had that condition. Okay, Max says, I wonder what would have happened if Edward VI didn't die so young, and he could have been the longest reigning monarch. He could, but we can't rewrite the history. He did die young, very sadly, and of course history turned out as it did. Very violent period in history, obviously, with Queen Mary, and it was christened, it was named Bloody Mary because of all the people that were killed at that time. So it was very unfortunate that he died. I think he'd have been a very moderate king, and we had a lot of turmoil, but of course we had a long period of stability with Elizabeth I. Will says, I think we should just make Meghan Queen and call it a day. I don't think it'll go down that route, not unless obviously anything happens to the whole Cambridge family. Saint Sinner says, do you have any suggestion on interesting books on the royals? I just finished Game of Crowns, looking for a book that gives us a real insight into the family. Well, interestingly enough, Princess Michael of Kent does write books, historical fictions, but yet still with an emphasis on historical. I haven't read any of hers yet, but I would like to read a Princess Michael of Kent book, and maybe that should be another book for our book club once we've read the first book, a Princess Michael of Kent book. Steve says Elizabeth I was abused by one of the Seymours. There was a relationship she had. It was Catherine Parr's husband, I think, who was said to have, well, there were rumours that Elizabeth I was pregnant with his baby, and we don't know that that was true. But there was rumours that he did have some kind of relations with her that were inappropriate. He used to attend her room at night time, and Elizabeth's lady-in-waiting would find them together, sometimes in slightly compromising positions. So what went on, we will never know. It's, you know, things have been erased from history. We don't know if she had a child by him, but there were rumours of that kind of nature. Will Dawson says, let's give awesome Gary Goldsmith an earldom. He is a bit of a funky, groovy uncle, let's just say. Nicole says, what titles would Prince Harry and Meghan's children have? They would be, well, let's just first of all, I mean, I did do a video on Catherine's princess title where I briefly mentioned this, but usually royal princes upon marriage are given a dukedom. So let's just say, let's just assume Prince Harry isn't given one. He would retain his title of Prince Henry, but he would keep the of Wales bit. Usually, royal princes, when they get to adulthood, they drop the of Wales bit, or of Kent, or of whatever, in favour of title alone, which would have been his ducal title, or Mountbatten Windsor as a surname. But let's just say he wasn't given a ducal title. He would probably retain the Prince Henry of Wales. So Meghan would be Princess Henry of Wales, or maybe even Mountbatten Windsor. He could be Prince Henry Mountbatten Windsor, so she would be Princess Henry Mountbatten Windsor. So the children would just probably, I think they still get HRHs, but they would be of Mountbatten Windsor or of Wales. If Harry was given a ducal title, such as Sussex or Clarence, or one of the ducal titles that's not being used, that's in possession of the crown, then he would be His Royal Highness the Duke of whatever. Meghan would be the Duchess of whatever, and their children would be Prince and Princess, and then of that title, so of Sussex or of Clarence. It's fairly complicated, and it is very dependent upon what title he is given. Noreen says Diana's mother and family had an Irish title, Lord Fermoy. They did indeed. Freya says they'll be styled the children of a duke and Charles becomes king. Mac, I think Queen Anne is so forgotten. Yes, she is. Perhaps I might like to revisit her period of history too. Noreen says she's laughing at Will Dawson. Mac says, what does the Queen keep in her purse? I think in her handbags, and she has Lorna handbags. They are a company called Lorna, L-A-U-N-E-R, and you can buy from Lorna the exact same handbag that the Queen uses. They are very expensive, but you can buy them if you have enough money. And I think the Queen keeps in her handbag lipstick, powder, tissues, perhaps some kind of security button, or some kind of tracking device even, and that's probably it. I think she probably keeps it to a very bare minimum, perhaps even her briefing notes, maybe. Deborah says hello everyone. Hi Deborah. Will says Jesus, Noreen, that's terrible, referring to the other comment about Camilla. Max says Prince Charles recently co-wrote a children's book. Yes, I have it. I showed it on last week's live chat. It was the Ladybird book about climate change. I have it. I haven't got it to hand to quickly grab you, but I do have it. And if you look on last week's live chat, it is on there. Max says, does the Queen really get upset about her father's death? I think she just becomes very reflective, and of course she knows that because she's Queen for 65 years that her father died young, so she probably feels a little bit cheated out of time with her father. So I think it's a bittersweet occasion, and she can't be seen to be celebrating that much on her father's death. So I think we will see her, a bit more of a public celebration if she gets to her platinum jubilee. But I certainly don't think the celebrations will be on a session day in honour of her father, out of respect, really. Max says the Duke and Duchess of Ottawa to honour Meghan. And Matt says she keeps a gold pistol just in case. I don't know. Who knows what's in the Queen's handbag? But I think it's practical things that she might need there and then. Perhaps definitely tissues as well. Oh, and her glasses. Definitely glasses and perhaps a fresh pair of gloves. There we go. Okay, Freya says, unless there is a letters patent, the children of Harry would be Lord and Lady, first name Mountbatten Windsor. The law only gives His Royal Highnesses to children and grandchildren of a monarch. Well, there was a special exemption, I think, for William, so that was a letters patent. I think there perhaps would be a letters patent issued to make them princes and princesses in line with William's children. So I think that would happen. Freya says also the children of the oldest son of the Prince of Wales, which is what I've just said. Deborah Lundy, you look nice. I've got to sing tonight. God bless. Where are you singing? But goodbye. Matt says, did you know the Queen keeps dog treats in a bag? It wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't surprise me. Van Isle said the Queen also keeps her glasses. I just said glasses. Will says James and Pippa are both super attractive. They are indeed. I think they'll make a really, well, I think she'll make a really lovely bride. Steve says this has been an ultra long live chat. Good though. Max says, Elliot, let's sort this out. Her favourite tea is smoked Earl Grey. I know it's Earl Grey. I didn't know about the smoked. Where have you heard that it's smoked? But I definitely knew it was Earl Grey. And a copy. Yes, of course, if she's having a speech, she would probably keep her speech in her handbag, and definitely briefing notes. Iris says, I like how the Queen wears gloves. So I think more people should wear gloves, definitely. Saint Sinner says, people are saying that the state dinner for President Trump should be cancelled. They think it may embarrass the Queen, and I think the Queen can take care of herself. I agree. The Queen has hosted many heads of state which have had questionable backgrounds, you know, morally, politically, varying policies, and she's entertained them all on behalf of the UK government, and President Trump is no different. It doesn't matter how much people protest, the state visit will go ahead, and that's the end of it. Letter says, I love architecture. Do you know the year? Do you know the year of the door behind you? The door behind me isn't actually that old. I think it was put in 30 years ago. But the house I'm in is pre-1900, probably round about 1850. So it's a very old property. But the door behind me, because the house was gutted in roughly 1989. And my parents actually bought the house and completely gutted it and redid it. So the door is 35, well, round about 30 years old, I'd say, something like that. But they completely re-gutted it, and the room I'm in now, which is the kitchen, used to be the old scullery. So yeah, it's a very old property. And when we recently redid a wall outside, we excavated a garden wall. We actually found this like tankard urn thing that had been buried under the wall for probably 100 years, and it was completely intact. It was some kind of drinking vessel, but it was quite amazing to find an intact like drinking urn, and it's fairly large as well. Okay, Mac, an interesting question. He said, what happened in the past if the Queen was on her menstrual cycle in public? Well, I would imagine she would be fully prepared, and she would have had everything that she needed to hand, and assistance from her ladies in waiting. Noreen says, what do I think of President Trump? Well, from the UK's point of view, I think he will be good for the UK. He's certainly very open to the UK. He's not closed off to the UK. And I think the UK will be certainly towards the front of the queue for a trade deal when we leave the European Union. So I think for us, he's kind of good. Freya says, what do you think about the TV show The Royals? I watched one of them and I decided it was so inaccurate, which of course it's meant to be. But I actually think it comes from, we have a group in the UK called Republic, and they want to end the monarchy after Queen Elizabeth dies, and they want us to become a republic. And to me, the show looks like it's been written by supporters of Republic. So after the first episode, I didn't watch any others. So I haven't seen any others. It's inaccurate. I think it's insensitive. And I think it's written by supporters of Republic that want to end the monarchy. So I haven't watched it. Let me read. Beatrice says, is your house haunted? To my knowledge, no. Will Dawson says, maybe we should invite an MI6 sniper to the American State Dinner. He will be incredibly well protected, I'm sure. Nicole DeBose says, good night, Elliot. Thanks for another great chat. We adore you. Please have a great week. And you too. Thank you for staying this long with the chat. Loretta says the door is beautiful. It's solid oak. It's an, well, no, it's not oak. It is hardwood. It's a hardwood door. It's very solid, and it has cast iron door furniture. Matt says, I watched a documentary by Royal Appointment, and it showed Fortnum and Mason, and they said that certainly a high-profile person like smoked Earl Grey tea. There you go. I think I did see the same thing actually. And Camilla goes there as well. She has all her produce and tea things from Fortnum and Mason. She had to host a banquet for Robert Mugabe. She did indeed. And you say, I'm going to cry all week if the Queen dies. I'm sure she won't. Not this week anyway. You said, but I'll feel so helpless because I'm only 15 and can't go anyway. Me too. I'm sure she will not die this week. I'm sure she'll be fine. Who do I think is the best looking member of the British royal family? Well, I think the best looking used to be Diana. But if you mean the best looking member now, I would probably say it's a toss-up between Catherine and Harry, and maybe Sophie Wessex. Just saying. But Iris says, I liked Trump. I mean, you think he'll do okay. Will Dawson says, Andrew was the best looking in his prime. Yeah, he was. And Freya says, I agree, Andrew was very handsome. Yes, if you find old pictures of Andrew, he does look very handsome. He was. And you can certainly see why Sarah fell in love with him. Okay. So we have been on chat for a very long time. It's nearly 2 hours. So I am going to have to end the chat very soon. So if you've got any questions, please get them in now before I go. Of course, I will be back next week live at 10 o'clock GMT as always. Okay, Max says, am I the only one who found the Queen Mother to be snobby? I don't think she was snobby. She was just of that period where she just had that sort of air of elegance about her that I think could be perceived as snobby, but I don't think she actually was. Of course, she was aristocratic by birth, but I don't think she was snobby. When during the war, of course, she wanted to stay with the people. She didn't want to go off to some country hideaway. She wanted to be with the people. So I don't think she was, but maybe she had a slightly elegant air that gave her the aura of perhaps a little bit of snobbiness, but I don't think she was. Will Dawson says, I hope Catherine Cambridge stuffs her bum for Pippa's wedding. Yes, Pippa did kind of steal the show in that dress. We all know the picture that we're talking about. Noreen says, I think it's sad for Princess Beatrice. She broke up with Dave Clark. I think they disagreed on what they should do with their relationship. And of course, you can't have two people disagreeing in a relationship. You have to be in the same direction. Beck says, see you next week. See you, Beck. Vanel says, wonderful chatting with you again. It's a highlight of my week. Take care. I will be going soon too. Princess Beatrice should date the Duke of Westminster, says Freya. Interesting point. That would be very good. She certainly wouldn't be short of any money. Max says, I always wonder what social media and their channel will be like in 50 years. Who knows? Steve says, it's great. The chats are getting more and more popular. I agree. And Freya says, thanks, Elliot. See you next week. Max says, like, will the same YouTubers be here? Who knows? 50 years is a very long time. There may be something bigger than YouTube that comes along and people might all jump to the new thing. Who knows what's coming up next? Noreen says, thanks, Elliot. I'm your biggest fan. Thank you so much, Noreen. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all the comments on the videos and for people watching the videos. And, of course, people sharing them on social media, because that's a really big thing to sort of get the videos out there. Matt says, ironic she rejected George VI because she didn't want a royal life. Yes, she did to start with, but then he kind of kept on, and I think he grew on her, and she finally said yes. Matt says, no, I'm the biggest fan, Noreen. Bye, Elliot. Have a voluptuous week, and don't forget to check. Yes, have a voluptuous week, everybody. Voluptuous was our starting word. And Iris says, it was great talking to you, Elliot. So thank you very much for another fantastic, amazing week in Royal Chat. As always, I really enjoy our live chats. And until next week, it's goodbye from me. From me in Shropshire, goodbye.